Hello. As we discussed yesterday about modal verbs in reporting, or regarding modal verbs in reporting, I want to take you through the same as through this video. Now, yesterday we agreed that there are those modal auxiliary verbs or modals when used in the original statement, they will not change when you're reporting. For example, examples of these modals which when used in the original statements or in the direct statements don't change include could, would, should, might, need not or needn't, ought to, used to, could have, should have, and such others. Now, we also agreed that with modals such as will, can, and may, will change to would when you're reporting. Can will change to could. From direct speech, can will change to could when you report. So we use could when we report. May will change to might when we report. Now, when will, can, and may are used in what we call existing or future situations and the present tense, verbs in reporting or in direct speech, these verbs do not change. When will, can, may are used in existing or future situations, we are going to see this in sentences. Now, will or would can be used when you're reporting if we talk about existing or future situations and the past tense verbs in reporting clause. We can also use can or could when we report. We can also use may or might. Now we said shall, when used in the original statement, it will change to would, talking about the future. But if shall is used to talk about offers and requests or advice, it will change to should in reporting. Now, must, when it's used to mean necessity, it changes to must or had to. When must is used to mean conclude, it remains as must, but not had to. Mustn't when you report. For example, if I say, I could meet you at the airport, then I report that it would be, he said that he could meet us at the airport. He said that he could meet us at the airport. We might drop in if we have time. I report that I say, they said that they might drop in if they have time. Okay. You should have contacted me earlier. That is direct speech. I report it. It will be, she said I should have contacted her earlier. You see? Now, if I say, she may have left or she may have already left, then I report that I say, he thought she might have already left. Now, if, again, I want you to understand this. If the situation we are reporting still exists or is still in the future, and the verb in the reporting clause as a present tense, we use will, can, and may in the reported clause. For example, look at this or listen to this. Careful, you will fall through the ice. So if I report that, I'll say, I warned him he would fall through the ice. If I say, I will be in Paris at Christmas, then I report that it says, maybe I can report it like this. She tells me she will be in Paris at Christmas. So you see, the modal auxiliaries there majorly don't change. For example, will is talking about the future. So when I say careful, you will fall through the ice. I warned him he would fall through the ice. And I'll be in Paris at Christmas. Then I report that I say, she tells me she will be in Paris at Christmas. You see? Now, if the situation we are reporting still exists or is still in the future, and the verb in the reporting clause as a past tense, we can either use would or will, can or could, okay, or may or might in the reported clause. For example, the problem can be solved. That's direct speech. Reporting, I say, they said the problem can be solved, or I can report like this. They said the problem could be solved. Okay? If I say, I shall or I will call you on Monday, then I report that and say, she told me she would call me on Monday. She told me she would call me on Monday. Now, where shall I put this box? That is advice, or you need some advice. Then you report like this. He asked where he should put the box. So see, shall when talks about the future, it changes to would. But when shall is talking about request or advice, changes to should. Now, if I say, you must be home by 9 o'clock, I report, I say, she said I must, or she said I had to be home by 9 o'clock. Yeah? And had to is more natural in reporting, or when you're reporting, had to is more natural. Okay. I didn't hear the phone. I must be going deaf. So I report that I say, Alex thought he must be going deaf. Okay. Now, you mustn't tell my brother. He warned me that I mustn't tell his brother. That's when I report. Now, I would like you to understand that we sometimes use a modal verb in a reported sentence where there is no modal verb in the original. For example, you are not allowed to smoke here. If I report that, I would say, she told me that I mustn't smoke there. Or she told me that I was not allowed to smoke there. Okay. If I say, my advice is to look for a new job now, then I report that I say, she said that I should look for a new job. She said that I should look for a new job. So you find that we have not used a modal in the original statement, but when it comes to the reported statement, we use a modal. That is that. Now, after having understood that, then I would also like to take you through reporting using nouns and adjectives. Okay? Reporting using nouns and adjectives. Now, as you know, we sometimes report people's words and thoughts using a noun in the reporting clause, followed by a reporting clause beginning with that, a to infinitive, or a WH word. Most of these nouns are related to the reporting verbs. For example, acknowledgement will be from acknowledge. Okay. Statement will be from state. Now, when we report using nouns and adjectives, the exact original words are not necessarily reported. Instead, we might use our own words or report that something was said without reporting what was said. For example, the claim is often made that smoking causes heart disease. The claim is often made that smoking causes heart disease. There must be that accompanying the reporting clause. Or else when I say the jury is a group of judges, spelled as Jury. Jury. So when I say the jury came to the conclusion that the woman was guilty, the jury came to a conclusion that, so after the noun conclusion, then we must have that preceding the reporting clause. Now, of other verbs or other nouns that are usually used in that way, where you have to accompany the noun with that clause when you're reporting, are acknowledgement, advice, allegation, announcement, answer, argument, comment, decision, explanation, focus, guarantee, indication, observation, promise, recommendation, reply, speculation, statement, suggestion, a threat, and warning. Okay? Now, I would like you to understand that we don't leave out that when we are using those nouns mentioned there. Now, we can also have a noun, when we report, we can also have a noun plus a to infinitive clause. For example, I accepted Luisa's invitation to visit her in Rome. Invitation to visit her in Rome. Or, he gave me every encouragement to take up painting again. Encouragement to take up painting again. Okay? Now, remember, other nouns that are usually followed by a to infinitive include decision, instruction, order, promise, recommendation, refusal, a threat, and warning. Okay. Now, there are some nouns that can be followed by a that clause. Okay, there are some nouns, or some of those nouns that we've mentioned there can also be followed by a that clause. For example, if I say they carried out their threat to dismiss workers on strike. They carried out their threat to dismiss workers on strike. You see? Yeah, so that means that the noun threat is followed by to infinitive, and we can also have it with a that clause, where we can say they carried out their threat that they would dismiss workers on strike. Okay, noun plus a WH clause. When we say Joan raised the question of when the money would be collected. He raised the question of when the money would be collected. Now, that is a question plus a preposition which is of, and then when plus a reporting clause. Our previous meeting looked at the issue of how to increase income. Another word or other words which can follow that order of a preposition and then a when or a WH word include explanation. He needed an explanation on how. Okay, discussion. There was a discussion on how to do this and this. Problem, yeah, there was a problem of when to effect the decision, something like that. We usually use of after these nouns in reporting. Those nouns that I've mentioned there, we usually use of or even on. Now, look, for the nouns that I mentioned, like acknowledgement, advice, allegation, announcement, answer, argument, comment, decision, explanation. We can use as to after those nouns plus the WH word. For example, when I say, in a sentence I can say, she asked my advice as to what subject she should study at university. Or you can also say, she asked my advice on what subject she would study at university. Okay. Now, there was some discussion as to whether the price included tax or not. Or you can also say, there was a discussion of whether the price included tax or not. Now, also, before we left, we gave them strict instructions as to how to cook. Or you can also say, before we left, we gave them instructions about how to cook. Okay, we gave them instructions about how to cook. Now, reporting using adjectives. Now, there are some adjectives we used to report a speaker's feelings or opinions, which are followed by that clause. For example, the builders are certain. Certain is the adjective. The builders are certain that they will be finished by the end of next week. Okay. Now, other adjectives that must be followed by that clause when you're reporting include adamant. Adamant is A-D-A-M-A-N-T. Agreed, angry, annoyed, grateful, insistent, sure. Okay. Now, adjectives expressing uncertainty, or meaning that you are not sure. Adjectives expressing uncertainty are usually followed by a WH clause. For example, scientists aren't sure where the remains of the satellite will land. So, other adjectives that express uncertainty and of which, when we use them to report, there must be a WH clause following them include doubtful. Okay, doubtful goes with whether. Yeah, they are doubtful whether this will succeed. Uncertain, they are uncertain where this and this will happen, or they are uncertain if this and this will happen. You can say that. Not sure, they are not sure where to locate this and this, or they are not sure when this and this will happen. Also unsure, they are unsure when, they are unsure where, they are unsure which, so you can use a WH word. Now, some adjectives usually are followed by a preposition, or there are some adjectives that are usually followed by a preposition plus a noun phrase. Preposition plus a noun phrase. These include, for example, today's newspaper. If I say today's newspapers are very critical of the president's decision to appoint Mr. Walters. Critical of. So we find that some adjectives are usually followed by a preposition. A preposition and then a noun. Apologetic, for example, apologetic of. Yeah. Complimentary of. Yeah. Insulting or insulting about. Tactful about. You can also say that. Okay, you can also say complimentary about, apologetic about, can go with about. Dismissive of. Dismissive means you don't agree with what is said. For example, they are dismissive of the new plan, meaning they don't accept. Scornful of. When you scorn, scorn is SCORN, then FUL. When you say they are scornful of this man, it means that they despise the man, or they boo. Yeah, they're booing, what you call, like looking down upon a person, and being very critical about what the person is saying, or being critical of what the person is saying. Abusive to, or you can also say abusive towards. Sympathetic to, or sympathetic towards. We should be sympathetic to orphans. We should not be abusive to elders, or we should not be abusive towards elders. You can say that. Yeah, so that is what I wanted you to understand for now, and that's good. So our next lesson will be should in that clause. That is the present subjunctive. That will be our next lesson this afternoon. Thank you very much.